Good day everybody, Brayden here coming to you from Epcot with our 5th Epcot construction tour of the year for the month of May here in Epcot. Typically, we do these near the beginning of the month, but this time I decided it was better for us to wait a little bit longer to actually go in here and see what's going on, because earlier in the month there wasn't a whole lot going on, but as I expected throughout the month, things have definitely picked up, and we do have more to talk about, especially looking into the middle of the World Showcase Lagoon, where right now they are doing all sorts of testing we have never seen before with Harmonious. So we're gonna see what's going on with all that, as well as everything else going on in the park here. I love this reimagined entrance area where you have the Epcot fountain, all sorts of people getting their photos with it here. It's definitely a busy time in Walt Disney World right now with Memorial Day weekend coming up. It's been pretty difficult for me to get park pass reservations lately. If you look at the park pass reservation calendar for both annual pass holders and especially, surprisingly, for resort guests, it's really booked up. One other thing I wanted to note before we get started here we have the beautiful Epcot fountain that has returned that just looks so awesome. Today I am actually wearing, for the first time, this photo I took of the Epcot fountain with the sky all red behind it. One of the best photos I ever took. I took this right when they put in the prisms. I think it was last August or so. You can find this shirt in the Mickey Views Teespring store for a very limited time. So be sure to check that out. Link in the description below. All right, guys, it's time. Let's see what's going on in Epcot. For us to get to the first new thing going on here in Epcot today, I don't even really have to move because it's happening right here at Spaceship Earth, where since our last Epcot construction update, Disney has installed a multitude of LED lights on the vertices of Spaceship Earth. This is going to be part of the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World's Beacons of Magic thing that they're going to be doing, where basically each of the park icons is going to have this quick, it's like a 20-second little, spiel basically saying, hey, welcome to the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, and this will play intermittently, and each of the park icons will light up. With the other parks, it's projection. Here it's going to be a little cooler, where right now Spaceship Earth is getting these LEDs, and they're not just for the 50th anniversary, they're not just for the Beacons of Magic, they're going to be staying moving forward and really make the park look cool at night. There's already all sorts of new lighting elements we have here in the entrance area. You see at night, like the light bar that goes all the way around here. The fountain lights up. Of course, you also have the classic Spaceship Earth look, and now joining all of that, on the vertices of Spaceship Earth, all these LEDs will be lighting up. I am very curious to see how this actually looks in practice, rather than just the concept art we have seen. Another thing we should note here under Spaceship Earth, last time we were here in Epcot for the last construction update, there was a huge portion of this area under Spaceship Earth that was walled off for new pavement, and as you can see, now that pavement has been put in, and if you look towards Future World West, you can see the next section of pavement they are working on, and if you look at the Epcot Overhaul concept art, you can see this new pathway. It sort of has this swooping motion where it's going to be enveloping Spaceship Earth, and then it's going to lead right into that Dreamer's Point area where you're going to have the Walt Disney statue. Probably more interesting to you guys than pathway though, looking over here at the former Innovations East. In the previous Innovations East configuration, this curved piece right here, there used to be something like this right in this spot, but that was actually removed, and the building sort of dented in right at this spot, and you can see now they're sort of returning the Innovations building back to its original look here in the park, where it has more of a smooth exterior surface, and I'm sure once they paint this all, it's going to have a much better look. And you can actually see from here the Innovations East breezeway that is also getting this new facade add-on, where before it sort of cut into the building, they are now fixing that. They're now adding back in that curved facade above the Innovations East breezeway, and there's a lot of scaffolding, a lot of workers over there. You can even see they have some tents set up on the top of the building where the workers can rest as they do all of this roof work, as they prepare to reopen that section of the former Innovations East, where Mouse Gear used to be as the Creation Store this summer, and it's also going to have some sort of Coca-Cola offering on the inside, akin to what we used to have with Club Cool, so that'll be very interesting to see. Right now, I am outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, which we are going to have probably next year. It's looking like 2022 at this point, and since last month, there's been virtually no visible progress on this attraction. As far as the exterior facade goes, it still just has the water barrier on it that's been there for months at this point. As far as the roof work goes, it still looks like there's some work that they have to do, and they just really have not been focused on doing that right now. Maybe they're doing work on the inside, maybe Disney's allocated those resources elsewhere, and they are not focused on this attraction at the moment, because we know the content for this attraction, all the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff that they have to film, it has not been filmed filmed yet, and it still seems like it's pretty deep into the schedule for the director, James Gunn, who also has a lot of other projects he has to do before he gets to filming the content for this attraction. So it looks like for now, Guardians of the Galaxy, this coaster is sort of at a standstill. Next door here at the Wonders of Life, it's so crazy how there's so few trees between these now. You can see Mission Space, the back of the ride building, which is pretty funny, and then you can see the Wonders of Life, and you can see the Universe of Energy here, all right next to each other. The Wonders of Life is turning into the Play Pavilion, as we know, but currently Disney has this project seemingly on pause. They've already made the sets for it. They just need to be installed there in storage right now, and the reason the Play Pavilion has been on pause is because it's going to be for meet and greets and interactive exhibits, obviously something Disney has not been interested in this past year given the health situation. Right now behind me, you might hear some work going on, looking at the Interventions work from this side. There's this scaffolding up. There's workers here right now working on the underside of the breezeway. Over here we have the temporary mouse gear, which will be closing later this year when the new Creation store, the new permanent store here in Epcot, the new permanent flagship store opens. They have these circular tube looking things that line the inside of the building, and I thought that they were cylindrical, but I actually noticed they are now starting to install them on this side where you're going to have a new restaurant, and you can see they're actually domed on the inside. So when you walk underneath those, I assume they'll be themed and they'll be lit up, probably with some cool LED lighting and things like that. So that's the latest going on in Future World East. Not a ton new there. Where the real work is happening is here in the Future World Celebration area, where the first thing we need to talk about is right here where Disney has just installed this new popcorn kiosk, which you might notice has a very similar design to the Taste Track booth we got over by Test Track several years ago, where you have those curved panels and then you have a really bright color. It's quite interesting because the one that is over by Test Track is red, which is actually the color that is synonymous with that new side, which will be called World Discovery. And then the one in the middle here is blue, which I think is the color they're going with to identify World Celebration. And then of course over here in Future World West, which in the future will be called World Nature, you'll have that green. Speaking of the World Nature area, there really is no activity happening on this side of the giant Future World crater, but if you look over towards this side, you can see there's so much work going on. There are all sorts of workers on top of what in the future will be the Creation store. They're doing roof work, and then we also have that work that's going on restoring the Interventions facade. Now, one question I have, I think a lot of us have, is when are we going to see that other side of the remaining Interventions building? When are we going to see the offerings come to that? When is that going to come together? Because we know this side that they're doing all this work on trying to get it done, it'll be opening this summer, but the other side seems like it's a little bit further behind, but not too much. I could totally see fall this year or perhaps late 2021, we could see the new counter service restaurant replacing the electric umbrella open in there, and then it's sort of a question of what they're going to do with the rest of that space, because surely the entire thing won't be eaten up by a restaurant, no pun intended there. There's definitely going to be other room. Of course, you have the temporary mouse gear location, and I'm almost wondering if we are getting to the point where Disney starts working on that Moana Journey of Water attraction. Now, I can't imagine why, if Disney's working with very limited resources, we only see a few construction crews around Walt Disney World, why they put the focus into a water walkthrough attraction over something like Tron or Guardians. But given that there's a content drought that's holding up Guardians, which isn't Disney's fault, and the fact that it seems like work is finally starting to pick up on Tron, maybe this is a sign that Disney will have some crews that'll be freed up and tasked with working on the Moana Journey of Water attraction over here, which probably won't be too hard to create. We're not talking about a giant building with a roller coaster inside of it. We're not talking about anything too extensive. We're talking about some Imagineering rocks, which are always really cool, you know, themed rocks, and then a bunch of plumbing, obviously, to really achieve that water walkthrough attraction effect with water going everywhere. It'll be very exciting to see that come together, and I think the big indication when we're finally going to see this middle area start to reopen will be when they start to put in the pathway inside the Future World crater. So we're going to stay on top of the aerials, so we'll be able to know when exactly that starts to happen. And speaking of water attractions, I have to say, I am wondering when Disney is going to bring back the leaping fountains over here at the Imagination Pavilion, which are so awesome. It is super hot right now at Walt Disney World. I am burning up. Disney has not had them on because they see it as an interactive exhibit that people might cluster around, and they want to keep people socially distanced. But now that Disney is starting to relax a lot of these social distancing guidelines and they're increasing capacity at all the parks, I'm wondering, when are they going to turn the leaping fountains back on? They're a staple of Epcot and definitely something I think guests would like as we enter the summer season here. So everybody, we have made it to the World Showcase Lagoon, where behind me you can see the current status of the Harmonious Nighttime Spectacular, the new permanent Nighttime Spectacular that is coming to this park. You can see the current progress on the barges for that show here, and I don't know about you guys, but these are looking pretty close to done. Say what you will about how these look, the aesthetics we have going on here, or if the show, you know, the theme of it even fits with Epcot. That's definitely a point I've argued many times in the past. Whatever you may think about this show, all the work that entertainment's been doing getting ready for this show to premiere, the technology that's out here, it is absolutely amazing. And you can see all those people out there right now working on these barges, getting them ready to go. We've seen testing with the fountains during park hours lately. The arms have been moving all around. In fact, they even have the firework barges out here right now where they've actually been testing fireworks. They've been launching fireworks after guest hours here in Epcot. So there's definitely a lot of work going on. And I think the question we all have is, when are we going to get this show? Because looking at it, Disney just painted all the barges, the parts that are actually floating on the water. They painted it the final black paint. They also painted over the pumps you have that bring the water up to the arms where it sprays out. And they've also started to unfurl some of those scrims you have that should cover up some of the internal show tech you have on the Stargate portion, as well as on the arms themselves. And just in general, the question of when we're going to see fireworks return here to Walt Disney World is a very interesting one, because looking here at Harmonious, Disney recently said it's early in development. I'm pretty sure that they did all the content for this show. They made all of it at the same time that they were making the stuff for the interim fireworks show, Epcot Forever, back in 2019. So as far as the content goes, I'm fairly convinced the show's ready to go on that end. And then looking at the infrastructure here, that too also seems very far along. So it's really a question of what is the holdup here. Now, one theory has been maybe Disney's waiting for their new fiscal year, which is October 1st. That's when we're going to have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure opening. That might also be the day that the new 50th Nighttime Spectacular in the Magic Kingdom premieres, which Disney has not announced or said anything about just yet. But looking at Harmonious, I think it's going to be ready well before then. And one explanation for why Disney's calling it early in development might be that they don't want to seem as though they are holding anything back. But looking at these barges, all the work that they're doing right now, which is pretty incredible, it looks like it's almost ready to go. They just painted the barges. They've been doing all sorts of testing with the arms and the fountains and the fireworks after dark. It really seems like we are getting close to that point where we could actually see an opening date announced for this fireworks spectacular. So I really hope Disney announces soon when the first nighttime spectacular is coming back to Walt Disney World. So that's the latest here in Epcot. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on so you don't miss any of the awesome content on the way. We have a breaking news video on the way you are not going to want to miss, so stay tuned for that. I'll be back with you very, very soon. Also, be sure to check out our 2082 shirt in our Teespring store. One of my favorite photos I've ever taken here in Walt Disney World. Thank you all so much for watching live from Epcot with the Harmonious barges behind me. This is Brayden. Have a magical day.